Welcome to the Binge Breakers podcast. I'm Jacqueline. I am here to teach you how I overcame bulimia and my binge eating disorder, and how you can too. Through simple steps of mind management, repairing your relationship with yourself, understanding your habits, and intuitive eating. So, when you guys are listening to this, it will be November. And now, when you guys are listening to this, it is probably around election time. Lots of things are going crazy in the world. But despite all the things that are happening in the world, I have no idea what's happening now. 3 weeks from now, who knows? Maybe if COVID has gotten worse, maybe something's gone wrong, maybe whatever, the world is ending. But above all else, I know what we need more of in this world, and it is love. And not just love for other people, but what we need more of is to give love to ourselves. And I know those of you guys that don't like loving yourselves are gonna want to click off this podcast episode right now, and you're like, I came here for bulimia recovery advice, Jacqueline. I came here for practical tips, recovery advice. Do not talk to me about this self-love crap. I don't want to hear it. Maybe you are like that, but I know I used to be in this mindset. I used to be, when I was bulimic, young Jacqueline, struggling with all these things, and even before I was bulimic, I was really horrible at loving myself. I always told myself I wasn't enough. And I always told myself I would love myself, or I was worthy when I reached something. I'm able to say that I am worth love. I am enough once I reached a certain goal. This is what a lot of my clients do too. I see it a lot in my program. I see it with the one-on-one clients that I coach, and they're really unwilling to be kind to themselves. They're unwilling to give themselves love and a sense of worthiness. And it's always once they are not bulimic, or once they reach this weight, or once they reach this business goal, once they're able to do this, then they can be determined as. Usually what I see is people they don't think unconditional love. They think conditional love is what they give themselves. So conditional love is, I will give myself love if X happens, if this certain situation happens. So let's put it into bulimia terms. I will give myself love if I am no longer bulimic. I will give myself praise, acceptance, validation if I recover from bulimia. If then X, right? If this equals this. This is flawed. And this is flawed because when you are using external goals and validation to determine your worth, the danger is that this will never be enough. Those external validations that you're using to measure your self-worth, they'll never be enough for you. And this is because it's human nature to always desire more. The grass is always greener. You always covet things you don't have, or you always want things that you don't have. You always think it'll be better the more you get. Even when you reach your goals, you'll never be satisfied because there's always more goals to get. There's always more things to acquire, and it's always fading. Here's what literally happens when you try to use external validation to feel love, to get a sense of worthiness for yourself. Let's say you set a goal that, if met, will determine your worthiness, such as reaching a certain weight or being bulimia free. For me, it was always my weight. I always thought, if I can weigh 140 pounds, then I will be worthy. If I can weigh that, then I can get other things taken care of. If I could just reach that, then I can call myself real. I can say that I've made it. Or it was money. If I am able to pay my bills, if I'm able to make this amount of money, if I'm able to reach this level in my career, then I can say to my friends that I'm successful. Then I can say that I have made it. Then I can give myself love. Then I can call myself worthy. Then I can relax. I can calm down for a bit because I've made it. Weight and money to me were huge goals. They were huge determining factors of whether I was worthy or not. It was my looks and it was my financial success. But what happened is that you eventually reach these goals, or I would eventually reach these goals. But the whole time I would be miserable while I was trying to reach my goal, because I would be constantly reminding myself of the fact that I wasn't deserving, that I wasn't enough until I reached this, that I'm a piece of crap until I get to this goal. That's what a lot of you guys do too. You say, when I reach this goal, then I'll be okay. But right now, I need to remind myself of how horrible I am, of how much I need to work towards, of how terrible I am. And when I reach this goal, then I'll be okay. But right now, I should be so ashamed of myself. I have so much work I need to do. I have so much crap that I need to take care of in my life. How can anyone take me seriously? That's what you do the whole time you're working towards this goal that will supposedly make you feel better. You make the whole process a miserable experience. But once you reach the goal, let's say you reach your dream weight, let's say you recover from bulimia, let's say you reach some sort of financial success, it will give you temporary relief from those feelings of unworthiness because it is temporary validation. You will feel a sense of accomplishment from reaching those goals. You will feel a sense of deserving because you have something to prove that you are worthy. But what happens is, like I said, they're temporary. Eventually, after you achieve that goal, it fades. And those thoughts start to creep in again because time continues to pass. Your mind starts to find new things to measure your success with because human desire is always going. You're always thinking, I reached this goal, so what next? It says, yeah, you did this, but that was a month ago. What's next? What are you going to do now to measure your worth? You've already reached this goal. What are you going to do now? You will look for new validation. External validation is like candy or sugar highs. You will eventually crash and the mask of worthiness is gone again because it was never there. It was only a temporary band-aid. That's one story. That's what happens when you try to use external validation to feel love. And that's what I did for years and years of my life. I always made my happiness and my self-worthiness be about something else. So for a long time, when I was a kid, when I was a teenager, I grew up in a wonderful home. I grew up in this awesome country farm, had so many things, had friends in school, very happy life, but I lived in a small town. And so I always said, once I leave this small town, I'll be happy. Once I get out of here, once I get out of this small town, I'm going to be successful. I got out of the small town, went to a city to college. Was I happy? No. And then I blamed that city. I was like, this city isn't enough. This city's lame. Once I go out here, then I'll be happy. Then I'll be able to figure things out. I traveled across the world. I went to Manchester. Still wasn't enough. And I made it about my weight. And I said, well, once I reach a certain weight, then I can be happy. I probably would have enjoyed Manchester more if I had been a certain weight. I probably would have had a better college experience if I had been a certain weight. Then I fell into bulimia. And I thought, man, if I just wasn't bulimic, then I'll be happy. And maybe if I could actually pay my bills, maybe if I was successful financially, then I'll be happy. But really, here's what I should have been doing. Here's how I could have given myself love. Here is what can happen if you decide to give yourself love for no other reason than the fact that you are a human on this earth that is deserving of love from yourself. You work towards your goals. You love yourself unconditionally the whole time. Working towards the goal is enjoyable now because it's simply enriching your life. The goal that you're working towards no longer is a measure of your worthiness because you've already told yourself that you're worthy. You've already deemed yourself worthy. So everything you're working towards is just another example of you manifesting your dreams. It's just another example of something that you're doing for fun, to wow yourself, to enjoy. You're enjoying the experience. You actually enjoy the process of reaching this goal, unlike the other person who is working towards the goal to try to get some sort of sense of validation. You enjoy the process of working towards the goal. And when you finally reach that goal, not only did you enjoy the road there, you also enjoy the success. And when you finally start looking towards what's next, there isn't this massive doubt or fear. Because if you fail, you will not use it against you. Because it doesn't have anything to do with you. You failing, it's just an action. It just means you need to change something. It's nothing to do with how worthy you are. You will just look at it as a crossroads, a new opportunity. Love shouldn't have to do with anything outside of you. Love shouldn't have to do with how many flowers you give someone. It shouldn't have to do with how much work you do. It shouldn't have to be measured by how financially successful you are, or how much you weigh, how much you eat or don't eat. Love should be determined by the fact that you're a human on this earth that has the potential to create, the potential to be, the potential to help others, the potential to do all this. You're already completely fine. And everything that you choose to do is just enriching your life and really enriching other people's lives. I don't know how other people think. I can't read people's minds. But I would bet that Nobel Prize winners, when they reach that prize, when they finally achieve that, I assume that they don't think, my life's over now. I've achieved what I needed to achieve. I'm done. I don't have any other purpose. I've maxed out my worthiness because I've received this ultimate prize. Now I don't have any other desires. I don't have anything else to do. The thing is with humans, if you measure your worthiness based on external things, you're never going to be enough. You are never going to achieve that. You're never going to be perfect at everything. You're always going to fail at something multiple times in your life. Many, many times we're going to fail in our life. You're always going to want more. You're always going to have something that you're working towards. It's always changing. The goalpost is always moving around. It's just the next thing and the next thing. So why not just give yourself the validation right now? I promise you that it will not slow your progress. I promise you that working out of excitement and joy is much better than working towards a goal out of fear, resentment, and hatred. Recovering from bulimia will be a whole lot easier if you love yourself unconditionally. Bulimia has nothing to do with your self-worth. All bulimia is a habit. It's just an action. It's just a series of behaviors. It does not mean that you're broken. It doesn't mean that you're a victim. It doesn't mean that you're crazy. It doesn't mean that you're anything other than a human who has an action that they no longer want to keep performing. So while you're recovering, don't you think it'd be nice if you offered yourself a little bit of a pat on the back for trying, for getting through what you've gotten through, and for continuing to go onward? What would it feel like if you went through life giving yourself love no matter what? Do you think you'd be as scared to fail if you knew that you'd love yourself no matter what? Do you think you'd be as scared to make mistakes, as scared to maybe gain a bit of weight in recovery, so that you could eventually recover from bulimia and return to a body weight that you find healthy and you feel good at? Do you think you'd be willing to do these things? I bet that you would. I avoided talking about this concept for a little bit. I knew it needed to be talked about, and I saw a lot of my clients struggling with it, and I know I've struggled with it for a long time. But it seemed a bit abstract to me. How do you give yourself love? How do you actually do it? And the question is, you just have to grant it to yourself. You have to be the one. You can't expect other people to give it to you. You can't be waiting for other people to give you permission to feel loved. You have to be the one to give it to yourself. And once you give it to yourself, you're no longer dependent on anything to measure your worth. It's an amazing experience. And it's changed my life. I wouldn't be doing the things that I'm doing now if I hadn't just given myself permission to feel love, to be loved, to like myself. It's quite a change in perspective. It's allowed me to enjoy the process of things. It's allowed me to be more present in life because I'm not waiting for the next thing that I'm going to achieve. And everything else in between is just a miserable existence. Because what's the point of reaching those goals if you're only happy for a little bit afterwards and most of the time you are miserable? What's the point in that? I'll let you guys think about it. But a few questions I want to ask you before I go is, why do you think that you're not worthy of love? Can you deserve love just because you're a human? Can you allow yourself to have love just because you're a living creature on this earth? How do you think your life would change if you gave yourself unconditional love? How do you think your relationships would change with people? How do you think your relationship with food and your body would be different? How do you think your life's trajectory would change? And how much more pleasant would your experience be if you gave yourself that unconditional love? So guys, that is it today. If you want to work with me, you know where to find me. If you're having trouble with these issues, go check out my coaching. I'd love to talk with you. All right, I'll talk to you guys later. Bye. Hey, if you like this episode, you have to come check out the Binge Breakers Recovery course. If you're trying to recover from bulimia and you're sick of doing it alone and you feel like you've tried a lot of traditional therapies and it's not working with you, come join the course. Go to bingebreakers.com/recovery-course.